Hey, Jim at Classic Catering. We're cooking outside today. I've got my little cooking area set up in my backyard. I'm going to go through my quick preliminary setup just like always. Got my sanitation stuff here. I have some recipes which I'll talk about later. Of course, I got a freshly made cup of coffee in my Get It Done mug. I also have my ingredients laid out just like always. I have my asparagus, which is going to be our side dish. Then for the mango salsa, we have our cilantro, serrano pepper. I've got a leftover onion and also a leftover lime from yesterday, plus a fresh one. And then the mangoes. My normal seasonings for those are just salt and pepper. Got my utensils laid out, a couple bowls. This is the Cajun spice for the blackened chicken, which will be for later in the day. Then on my grill right here, it's not on or anything yet, but I got a little pot of water right here, which is going to be for our asparagus. We're going to pre-cook that in water, shock it in an ice bath, and then we'll grill it after it's partially cooked. Alright, we're getting ready to make our mango salsa. This can also be done with pineapple if you like pineapple, but mango's a little bit more of an exotic fruit that you don't always see, so we're going to use that. So we're going to get started on that. I'm going to get my asparagus out of the way right here. And the first thing we're going to do, just like yesterday with a couple of these similar ingredients when I made the pico, is I'm going to take my cilantro. These come together in a rubber band, and usually you can just cut down to the rubber band or the little twisty, and then that's just going to get discarded. And then we're just going to rip off another chunk of this and give this a quick chop as well. If you've never had cilantro, I highly recommend you try it. It's a very fragrant, fresh tasting herb. Goes well with a lot of different condiments. It's not just for typical Mexican salsa. So we got a quick chop on this. And we're going to throw that right in our bowl. Then we're just going to take a little bit of that onion from yesterday. We're going to give that another quick dice. Not too big. I'm doing this maybe 1/8 of an inch in size. You don't want to bite into a big chunk of onion when you're eating your salsa. So we got all that in there. We're going to take a quick pinch, maybe a tablespoon each of salt and pepper, just like so. And then we're going to take this lime that we had yesterday. I did take the zest off of this yesterday and I had a little bit left, but we don't want to waste it, so we're going to go ahead and use that juice the next day. I just put it in a Ziploc bag overnight. Then we're going to take a little bit more lime, and we're just going to use my microplane just like I did for the pico de gallo in a past video, and we're just going to zest this. We're going to rotate the lime while we rub it across the blades here, so that we get most of the lime done, and you don't want to get any of the white pith in there. It's very bitter tasting. So that's in there. I got most of it in my bowl. Alright, to prep your mango, first thing you're going to do is take off this little sticker that comes with it. Then you got to make sure you find a mango that's kind of soft, like a fruit would be ripe. If it's too firm, it's not going to work for you. I've already done one of these. I've got it peeled down. So basically what you're going to do with your swivel peeler is it's just like peeling a potato. You're going to just start on one side, and you're just going to keep rolling your peeler around. If it falls off, no problem. You're just going to keep going until you get all that skin off there. And it's already starting to get very juicy. You can see it's just shining away here in the sunshine. It's beautiful out. It's about 75 degrees. One of the nicer days we've had so far. So I'm about halfway done, as you can see. And I'm just going to keep going real quick on this. It gets a little bit slippery while you're doing it. If it gets too slippery, you can always take a paper towel in one of your hands, like your left hand, and use that to hold the fruit, and that way it won't slide around and slip too much. So there we've got these all peeled up. We're going to get these out of the way. Now your mango is a little bit different of a fruit. There's a seed in it, but it's a very weirdly shaped seed. So you're going to just have to do your best to trim around that. And what I first try to do is just make a cut down one side and then another side. And I'm already hitting seed because it's a very weirdly shaped seed. There's a nice chunk. And there's another nice chunk. Then I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to kind of pair it like this a little bit, the best I can. It's not a perfectly round seed like you would get in a cherry or a peach, so you pretty much just got to wing it when you're trying to get all the meat off of the pit. So that's pretty much going to be it right there. I don't think there's a whole lot more in there. So I'm going to go ahead and process this other one, and then we'll finish up our salsa. Alright, while we're out here cooking, my dog decided to act a little crazy and roll around on her back. Must have had an itch or something. Or maybe she just knows she's on camera and she's a bit of a ham. So she's out here. She's probably going to shake now that she's done that. No, she's not. We try to keep her out here as much as possible in our new big backyard. She loves it. It's good for her. It's good for us. Keeps us happy. And another good way to spend our time outside while we're cooking great food. Alright, we have our mango all prepped up and ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and dice that right now. First thing before I'm going to do that is I have my chili pepper here. This is a Serrano, and if you tuned into our video yesterday, we used a Serrano chili pepper in our pico de gallo, and I made the mistake of making or using a little bit too much of that, so I'm going to just kind of cut that back a little bit today. You want it to be, you know, you want to taste the pepper in there, but you just don't want it to be overpowering, especially when you're making a fruit salsa. So we're going to give this a quick dice. I cut it into the thin strips first. I'm just going to keep chopping this. If you want this to be less spicy, with peppers of any kind, jalapeno or serrano or Scotch bonnet, whatever you have, the seeds and the membrane is always the hottest part. So you can see what I've done to this. I just cut a strip right down the side of it where there's really not much seed and membrane at all, and that'll help control the heat in our dish right here. I can always add some more to this if I'd like to, but for right now I'm going with just a minimal amount. Then I've got all this beautiful juicy mango that I processed. It's all off the seed. So we're just going to cut this into strips first. Just like always when I'm dicing, everything's cut into strips first. Then you're going to gather them up in a nice neat bundle like this, and we're just going to take and do about a 1/4 inch dice or so, roughly about the same size as the onion, maybe a little bit larger. We're just going to keep processing all this. Alright, that's good. Alright, we have all of our mango processed into a nice, even, uniform dice. We're going to just, I moved my cutting board off the edge of the counter here real quick, and we're just going to take this. It's just easier than trying to use my hands. Then I'm also going to use the blade of my knife, and we want to make sure we get all those juices in there, because that's just going to add a really nice flavor to it. Then I also have a little bit of juice left on this tray here. We're going to just throw all that in there as well, because that is all going to be part of this amazing salsa. So we've got all that ready. Last thing I'm going to do is just take a little bit of green pepper, and I'm going to cut a couple of planks, if you will, with this. If you've got any of the pulp in there, you're going to take the tip of your knife, and you're just going to cut that right out like so. And then we're going to give this a really quick dice. And this is just going to be for texture. It's not going to add a whole lot of flavor to our salsa, but it's just going to help give it a nice crunch. Not to mention some beautiful green color to go with our yellow and purple color of our onion and the greenness of the cilantro that's in there. So that's basically it. We're going to give this a quick toss. Don't have a spoon since I'm cooking outside, so we're just going to do this with a quick toss. And then what I'm going to do once I get a spoon is I'll give this a taste. If you can pan up. We're going to give this a taste. If it needs more lime juice, we're going to add more lime. If you want it hotter, you can add more pepper. You can add salt or cracked pepper, whatever you want, just to kind of adjust the flavors. This will need to sit in the refrigerator for about 2 hours, and then it'll be ready for use later this afternoon. All right, we're out here with the dog, just getting ready to do the asparagus next. So what I've got here, I've turned on my pot of water on the stove right here. I've already taken some of the asparagus and peeled it and prepped it. These are nice size asparagus, which, by the way, produce-wise, I got it from Nino Salvaggio. I like to get all my stuff locally. Produce stores are going to be far superior than buying it at Kroger and Meijer's. They're there just for convenience sake, but if you want really good stuff, try to find a produce store like Nino's, or any place wherever you might be living. So I've got my asparagus here, and what I'm going to do first is I'm going to stack these tips up so they're about the same length, and you can see it's a little bit uneven. So we're going to take our knife and we're just going to cut those so they're about the same length. Then we're going to take our peeler. Asparagus can be a little bit woody on the root end, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick peel and just take some of that outer skin off, and that's going to help the whole spear of asparagus be much more tender than if you just cook it without peeling it first. So we've got that done. I've got all these that I did ahead of time. Over here on my grill, I've got my side burner going with my steaming water. We're going to add a little bit of salt in there. What we're doing right now is we're going to pre-cook this asparagus for about 2 minutes just to get it slightly tender. We don't want to overcook asparagus in the least bit because it'll get very mushy and it'll be very hard to grill. So we're going to let that go for about 2 minutes on the grill. While that's going, I want to take a second to just talk about these recipes. Over the years, I was fortunate enough to be able to assemble a vast variety of recipes which I've kept and filed away for future uses like today. So these are very good. I like the 8.5 by 11s instead of index cards or whatever, but if you see a good recipe, it's always a good idea to just file it away. You might not use it for 6 months or a year, but it's always good to have a nice recipe file on hand. So this is starting to steam up a little bit. We're going to let it go for about another minute or so. It is going to cook additionally on the grill when we grill it, so we don't want to get it too done there. And what I've got right here is an ice bath, which is just a lot of ice and a little bit of water. We're going to plunge our asparagus in there to cool it off ahead of time. That way when we go to grill it later, it's just going to basically be reheating it and getting some good charred flavor on it from the grill. So we'll give that just a few more seconds. Alright, that's probably going to be good. It's only been literally about a minute. And we're going to just take that, turn off my side burner real quick. I don't have any tongs out here right now, so what we're going to do first is you have to improvise when you're on the road or out in your yard cooking. So we're just going to throw some ice in there. It's going to cool off the water enough for me to handle it. Then I'm just going to take that asparagus out of there, plunge it in my ice water. It's nice and bright green and fresh looking, so we're going to let that cool off for about 2 minutes. This is just going to go to help water the grass. And basically that's it. That'll be our side dish for later today. Alright, a lot has happened with the weather. Waiting on my skillet to come from FedEx. That didn't come, so it's actually a couple days later. We're going to get started on this chicken. We're in between rainstorms right now. I have about 6 or 7 chicken breasts that I pounded out. And then I'm going to take a little bit of oil and then this Cajun seasoning, which is just a prepared Cajun spice that I bought at the store. So we're going to just do a real quick season on both of these. If you like it a little more spicy, you can go heavy like this one right here, or you can just keep it on the light side like that. So we're going to just kind of go medium right in between all that. So just going to make sure I got all these flipped and they all have some spice on them. You are going to lose a little bit of the spice while you cook on the cast iron skillet, which incidentally I did have one that came with my stove and I forgot about, so we're going to use that. So I've had this heating up, and what I'm going to do with this first is I'm going to put a little bit of oil on it, and then I just have a paper towel, Bounty, the quicker picker upper. We're going to just use that on the griddle, just season it up a little bit and make sure that everything's not going to stick. And then we're just going to take our chicken and we're going to throw it right on here nice and quick. I've got my tongs ready, and I've also got a spatula out here as well. So we're just going to just throw all this on there at once. This is probably enough for about 4 or 5 people. There's more in the house, but I'm just doing a quick batch for right now. We're going to close the lid on this and give it about 2 minutes. Alright, it's been about 2 minutes. You can see the chicken starting to turn white around the outsides, which means it's starting to get cooked. We're going to let that go a minute. On my tray right here, I have the asparagus that I peeled and I par-cooked it in steaming water the other day. I'm going to oil this lightly, and we're going to give it a light dusting of salt and pepper. And this at this point basically is just going to get heated up because it's already most of the way cooked. So I'm just going to lay this right on my hot grill. It's easier if you just keep it in a nice neat row, all the tips facing the same way. So we're going to let that go for about maybe 30 seconds on the one side. And then I'm going to use my tray right here. Since we're cooking outside and it actually started raining just slightly, we're going to use this for my cooked food once it's ready. So we're going to give the chicken a flip real quick. And you can see it's, well, it's not blackened all the way as it should be, so we're going to let that go and get a little more sear on it. Okay, it's been a couple more minutes. Rain is still starting to come down a little harder. So we're going to take our asparagus. What I like to do, I use the 12-inch tongs instead of the short ones so I can get nice and close to it. And we're just going to give that a flip. You can do them one at a time or you can do them two at a time. But I like to just do them all quick as possible so we can keep our heat inside the grill when we need to. Then I'm going to take my spatula. I am going to flip these chicken breasts right now, and we're going to let them finish cooking. If it's raining out at your house, like it is at my house, you can always take these, once you get them to this point, and you can put them on a baking sheet and pop them in the oven. But since it's not coming down too terribly hard yet, we're just going to let those keep cooking for about 2 minutes, and then I will see you in the house when we plate all this up on our beautiful plate. Alright, we're done. We avoided the rainstorm. We're inside now. The chicken's cooked, so we're going to transfer it to our plate. I got a couple of nice pieces right here that are going to look delicious. I've got some of the grilled asparagus, which has got a nice color on it. What we're going to do is we're just going to lay that out nice and flat. 4 or 5 pieces is usually a good size serving. Then what we're going to do is take some of the mango salsa and we're going to plop that right on top of this chicken. So you've got a nice spicy chicken breast complemented by a nice cool refreshing fruit salsa. Then lastly for this asparagus, it's delicious on its own just like it is with oil, salt, and pepper. But I've got some of this delicious balsamic glaze, which is just balsamic vinegar and sugar that have been rendered down into a syrup. But I just buy this because it's a pain to make. We're going to take a little bit of this and make it just a very nice pretty drizzle right over the top of our asparagus. And that's our delicious outdoor cooking meal. If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel or visit our Facebook page at Classic Catering of the Shores.